I doubt that the trade war, which I would say isn't yet a trade war, the skirmish probably didn't have any impact on what's going on with Xiaomi. And I think this illustrates one of the mistakes that President Trump is making and a lot of Americans are making when they analyze the Chinese economy and Chinese companies is it's no longer an economy that's dependent on exports. It's really become, over the last decade, a domestic demand story. Exports are a small part of the economy. Most exporting companies in China are actually foreign owned. So I think the damage that's going to be done from this trade skirmish at this point is going to be quite small on Chinese companies and on the Chinese economy.
So why is the Shanghai Composite down 22% since the U.S. leveled tariffs on solar panels, then down just 9% just since June when this whole tariff thing started escalating?
Yeah,
is there
I
no
think
connection?
investors in China, who are the overwhelming majority of holders in the domestic market there, are overestimating the impact. The sentiment has clearly been hit. But for me, this is a buying opportunity because I think before very long, especially now that the tariffs are going into place, people are going to realize that the impact on Chinese companies is going to be very small.
In terms of taking a look, I mean, there's a lot of comparisons, Andy, that people want to make when they see a sell-off in China today to the sell-off that we saw in 2015. 2015's rise was really driven by the retail investor, and the decline was driven by the pullout of the retail investor in the market. Some say this particular decline is driven by institutions. Is there anything that is different from 2015, or any sort of extrapolations that we can make about what this sell-off is and what it's caused by?
Well, I think there are a lot of similarities and differences from 2015. First is the economy is in good form. And most importantly, corporate earnings are doing really well now, much, much stronger than they were in 2015. But this is still a retail-dominated market. Retail investors account for maybe 25% of shareholdings, but about 85% of the turnover. And retail investors in China are still not very sophisticated. So sentiment is bad now. But I think that as we move into the coming months and people realize that the trade conflict is not having a material impact on most Chinese companies, I think that will rebound.
What do you think the Chinese government will do with respect to the currency? And will they continue to let it move down? And how does that factor into your investing thesis?
Up until now, we've seen, I think, no change in the way the Chinese government is managing the currency, the renminbi. They're still following the same practice they followed for the last few years, which is the direction of the renminbi is being driven by the strength or weakness of the dollar. So from mid-April, for example, the dollar is up about 5%. The renminbi is down about 5%. Similar numbers from the beginning of this year. So I think that will continue. I don't see any reason to believe that the Chinese government is going to change its practice and start moving the currency in order to respond to the trade problem, because it's not going to be a big hit to the Chinese economy or to Chinese companies.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.